hands on top of your head.
Well, I didn't.
Now!
Here comes the jam, getting down with the truth, the only way he knows how to. Girls all up with his name, we call him the chief. You're damn right, he's gonna get that sucker. Yo, we track down the truth, you know what, I track down the truth, you know. And what do they call him? We call him the chief. You're damn right we do.
I'll bet your mother had a loud bark.
Good morning. This is Morning Coffee with the Chief. I'm your host, Patrick Jordan, here on Pop Culture Minefield on YouTube and Rumble. You can find the show every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you know, when you're following us or you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to YouTube, like the show, and share it with a friend. And if you're watching us on Rumble, on that one, you follow us. So follow us there, like the show, and share it with a friend. Now, I also have another show I just want to give you a heads up on it. I do it every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is Briefing with the Chief on Cage Ray's Rumble channel, their Facebook page, and their Twitter feed. Now, that one is also a radio show, and it broadcasts over KJRDB.com's radio. So you can download the app and listen to that every time. If you want to find all the audio versions of my show, you can go to KJRDB.com, Briefing with the Chief. And all the audio versions are there, and you can binge with the Chief at any time. Now, they do keep those shows up. It started about 2 months ago. These shows just go behind a paywall, but you can now find the podcasts on the Rumble channel, KBGR's Rumble channel, and they stay up for the last few months. So there's got about 5 or 6 of my shows there. Tomorrow's show will be with Dr. John Sullivan. We talk about radicalization of Islamic radicalization, and we use the example of the Sri Lankan Easter Sunday massacre, where they killed over 250 people by bombing Catholic churches and hotels in the country of Sri Lanka. These are Islamic terrorists, and they were committed to ISIS and al-Baghdadi, who's I think has gone to meet his 70 virgins in the sky by now. But it's a good show. It's good discussion about radicalization, something that we need to be paying attention to here in the United States. I don't think we've done that over the last 4 years under Biden, and I'm hoping that the Trump administration takes it a little more serious with their new leadership change. And you can also catch me on X at LEC Jordan, where I post about a wide variety of things. Now, before we get into our movie, we're gonna review the movie In Burgess, which is a black comedy. It's really I thought it's a really fun movie, and you gotta like the humor. I like the humor, and I think my guests do. But before I bring them on, let me talk about the Los Angeles mission. Now, this is not a funny story. This is the Los Angeles Services the needs of the homeless on Skid Row. They provide wraparound services and long-term recovery programs, 6 to 12 months, which is really the gold standard for reintegrating some of these homeless back into society. They meet their needs for mental health issues, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and any other ailments they have, and help to build work skills and some level of education so that they can get a job. So they do a really good job, and they have a faith-based element. So they do the sign of the cross there, so they don't get any money from government. So they need your help. So go to losangelesmission.org and make a donation today. $25, $50, $100, any amount will help, and I'm sure that they will greatly appreciate it. Okay, so you know what? Before I introduce the show, why don't I just introduce the guests, and we'll bring on, these guys have been with me before, so we'll bring on first Lieutenant John Baylis from California refugee, one of the California refugees, and his friend. He's got his little four-legged friend there behind him. And John, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, she turns 3 next week.
Ah.
And she's still going to be a baby. Ugh. Huskies, best dogs ever.
Are they? Yeah.
Oh, they're wonderful, but they're worse than people. personality-wise.
They're
as stubborn as my wife.
Oh. Well, that's having 3 in the house. Well, don't you have another husky
2,
too?
yeah.
You have 2?
The big one, he's going to be 6, or is 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
One male, 1 female? Is that
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, at least you're even.
Rescue a dog.
Rescue a dog. Well,
don't buy him from a breeder. Rescue a dog.
Rescue a dog. Okay.
There's so many out there.
And our next guest, also from another California refugee. He's been on the show before. It is Scott Orr, retired Sergeant Scott Orr. I think he's in the volunteer state. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Good, Pat. How are you?
Pretty good. Now, are you in your house, or are you in you're in your new house, right? You got it built?
Yeah, we're in our house. We've been in since October.
Oh, good.
Still need to put some stuff in the walls here in our office, but getting around to it.
Yeah, my studio's coming along here. As you can see, I'm a little patriotic. I got the police flag. I got the American flag now. I got one of the versions of the hats that we had. I got a Telly Award, which we got when we built that anti-terrorism website. Remember that? And I got one of those model helicopters for the sheriff's department. I think I won it as a door prize somewhere, and it's just been sitting in the closet. I said, all right, I might as well put some of this paraphernalia up, and because everybody else that do these cop podcasts, they have all their stuff up, and I had never really unpacked any of it, so I said, I guess I ought to.
I don't have any.
At least look at the part. Well, you know how it is. It's just kind of people give you stuff, you collect it, and I mean, I just put it into boxes, and because I wasn't really much on a brag wall, right? And so I figured, well, you know what? I'm doing the show, a cop-related show. I might as well put a little bit. I was going to get movie posters, which I thought were cool too. Like a Dirty Harry pointing a gun at you that'd be kind of cool too. So maybe I'll switch out in a year or so.
All I have is challenge coins.
Yeah, I didn't get into collecting those, and patches.
People would give, people would just give them to us. And then when we worked with SEAL Team 6, helping them out with stuff, and they gave us challenge coins. And some rat bastard stole it out of my desk at work.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't get his own coins, so he steals somebody else's. Yeah. Shut up, people, Anyway, so we're here to review the movie in Burgess. So let me give a little introduction. This movie, Bruges. How'd you say it again, John? Bruges. I'm sorry, Bruges.
It's in Brussels.
In Bruges. I will get that wrong during the course of the show, so John, just correct me. Bruges. So it was released in 2008. It's a black comedy drama, which I like those black comedies. I think they're funny. Crime drama and thriller, and it was directed and written by Martin McDonagh. Full-length debut. Let's see. It stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who are 2 fantastic actors, right?
Colin Farrell, not
Colin Farrell. Colin.
What do you got on your mind, mister?
Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. This is why I bring John in. He always corrected me.
He corrects everybody.
Colin Farrell. Well, here I am. I'm on a roll, screwing things up. But so I love these actors though. Colin,
very good actors.
Yeah, and he's been in such good stuff. Farrell's been such a lot of really good stuff. And I liked him in this movie because he had to play a little different part. He almost plays like a simpleton in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's
Not
stunned he's stunned at 16 or something, right? He stopped growing, at least emotionally. And I think he did a fantastic job. And of course, there's another movie, and I'm trying to think of what it is, where these 2 guys are in Ireland and they're friends, and Gleeson decides he doesn't want to be friends with Farrell anymore. And so it's not a crime thing. It's just a relationship thing, but the same kind of interplay and relationship. And I think a big part of the movie is these 2 guys' relationship, because they obviously are fond of each other. Gleeson, either big brother or dad kind of relationship with Farrell. But that's what it was their interplay and how much they cared for each other that really, I think, made the movie, even though they're killers, right? So even though they're killers. But the guy that played Harry, let's see, Ralph
Ralph Fiennes.
Fiennes, he's fantastic too, and I've seen him in movies before. He does a really good job, and there's a lot of, we talked about it before the show came on. Hey, Penny, there's a lot of these black comedies where involving gangsters. I think Martin said it's Lock, Stock, and Double Barreled was one of them. And what was the one you brought up, John?
Well, there's so many of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's anything that the guy that used to be married to Madonna, I can't think of his, Guy Ritchie. Anything he makes, it's going to be a good, funny movie and bloody.
Yeah, and so I enjoy the movies. I think you guys mentioned one, the Boondock Saints. That's a good one too. Although I don't know if that's more British, but it's got the same kind of flair to it, right?
Yep.
And I thought, let me as we did the movie, let me do something that's a little funny but a little odd, little unusual. And this was one of the movies that came up, and I'd seen it. I've only seen it once before, but I remember really enjoying it. So did you like the movie, Scott?
Yeah, I liked it. This is my second time seeing it. I saw it on an airplane, but yeah, I thought it's got a lot of funny parts. It's a little slow at first, but
yeah,
kind of has to set everything up. But I enjoyed it.
Well, since you watched with your wife, did you watch this one with your wife as well? Can we get the ladies' opinion? She liked it?
Yeah, she liked it, but she likes Brendan Gleeson and she likes Colin Farrell. So, but yeah, that other movie is kind of the same. Colin Farrell plays like a simpleton, and Brendan Gleeson doesn't want to be his friend anymore. And every time Colin Farrell approaches him, he cuts a finger off.
Yeah, so you've seen that one too. So the interplay, that's a kind of a dark comedy one too. It's just not crime. But I think these guys really mesh well together in the movie, and Gleeson and Farrell.
Yeah,
John's got me, and I'm not going to say Colin anymore because let's roll the first scene in Bruges. Bruges. And I think this is, if I recall, these guys are they're come here he is, and you can see it. He does a really good job. He looks like a scared kid to some degree. Yeah. And this is the lady that's they're in Bruges because Colin's he's screwed up and as an assassin, and he ended up killing somebody. You see this that he shouldn't have killed. He killed a boy during an assassination attempt, or during a successful attempt. Right? They killed a priest, and the boy was in the church praying. And there's a lot of religious themes to this, John, too, through this movie.
True.
Both the buildings that they're looking at. Yeah, there's a lot of Gothic, scenes in this thing, which kind of adds to the whole dark, the dark theme of the movie. And I'm trying to remember, in Spain they had some kind of Gothic artwork there, but there's a certain time when you see the Gothics, the gargoyles and things like that, and ugly faces on churches, and even in the paintings, and it just adds to the darkness of the movie. So these are our two main characters. Tell me, what do you think of the interplay of these two guys? And Colin does a great job, right?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Oh, I didn't hear. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's funny is you can see the frustration that Gleeson, older, he likes the that you just talked about, the brogue designs, all the history, the art, the architecture, and of course all he wants to do is get fucked up and have booze, and they're not getting along, and he's like frustrated as all hell, with him. And he's taking care of him, but at the same time he's like, God save me now, get rid of this guy.
Well, he knows what happened too. He knows which we'll get into, and he knows that he screwed up, that Colin screwed up.
Yeah, and Colin killed a great actor, Ciarán Hinds played the priest. Very small role for him, but he plays a heavy in a lot of movies. But yeah, when he killed him and he ran out of the confessional and he shot him in the back, one of the bullets hit a little kid praying, and that's a no-no.
Yeah. Even amongst killers, right? I mean,
the Hell's Angels. I just saw a documentary on the Hell's Angels, and they don't put up with that. They will not allow anybody to kill babies or children.
even if it's unintentional.
Exactly.
Right. And of course, in this scene, Scotty, obviously these guys, one guy's a little older. He enjoys, he's at where we're at. I enjoy going to see all the old buildings and the history. And Colin's just like, why can't we just go to Dublin where there's a lot of pubs, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Scotty and me in the old days.
Yeah.
Well, Scott and I went to London together, if I remember correctly, and we did a little both, right? But of course, we were working, so we squeezed in what we could. Both.
we squeezed in a pub or two.
We squeezed in. We went to a pub called the Chester Cheese. Did I get that right? And it's
something like that, yeah.
In the city of London, one of the oldest continuing operating pub. And as you go down on the landing between the 3rd floor and the 4th floor was a picture of Dickens, right? Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
And sign says Dickens used to drink here, which I thought was really cool. And
yeah,
then
this reminds me of my wife and myself. Is we've traveled to Europe several times and stuff like that, and she's all into the architect and everything, and I'm like, a castle's a castle. I don't care. They all look the same, especially in Europe because they're all related. So if so-and-so's castle looked like this, our needs to look like that too, but bigger. I mean,
well, we went to Edinburgh this year. We went to Newcastle, and then we went to the city of Durham, which had a castle, and then we went to Edinburgh, which they have it's called the Royal Mile. On one end, you had the Holyrood Palace, and the other end you had the old Edinburgh Castle, and fortress kind of thing, and it's really cool. I like that. But we my wife and I travel to Europe. We'll look at all that stuff. We also look for the oldest restaurant in town, the best restaurant in town, the oldest pub in town, and we do we got to hit all the right meaningful historical sites, right? So gotta go to the palace, and then you got to go to the oldest pub in town, which is that kind of it's a good trade-off, because you know what, we went to a place called the Blackfriars Inn, which had been serving food since before the Reformation. It was interesting. So then the Reformation came in, and of course they killed a lot of the Catholics, and they all had to convert, but they turned the Blackfriars, which is I think Dominican, John, I don't know, and they turned it into a restaurant. And it's been serving since long before the Reformation in England. The food was fantastic, so it was definitely worth it. So, but I would love checking all this stuff out. Now this
me too.
This is where
same thing when I'm in Italy. Some of it is just amazing.
Now this movie is interesting because everybody's kind of a jerk in this movie, like I said, except the lady who runs the hotel, right?
Yeah.
And so he wants to go up to the belfry in this thing, right?
Oh,
and remember this scene? And it's like everybody's kind of a jerk, and he counts out, €490, and he says, "Hey, will you take €490?" And the guy says, he taps the glass, the big guy behind the glass. It's €5. It's €5. So I'm thinking, God, I don't think there's any good people in this movie. And
they're all anal.
Yeah, they're all they deserve each other almost, right?
Exactly.
And here's our guy. This is all rubbish, right? And now this is
this made me crack up.
This is what makes the movie, right? I mean, so here's these guys come up.
This did make me laugh.
You can't go up there.
Very rotund people.
This was hilarious.
He's so stupid, Colin Farrell, playing this part that he can't be politically correct. He's got, it's a bunch of fucking elephants going up a windy stair. You'll never make it.
I gotta tell the audience about this scene because it's hilarious. These really huge, I guess Americans,
Yep.
A family of Americans, maybe 3 or 4, and this is the dad.
There's 3, 2 women and him. And
they're big people, right? And they said, "Is this the belfry?" or whatever. And Farrell says, "Well, yeah, but you're not going to walk up there. Why can't we go? And he says, no, you're a herd of elephants. You're not going to get up there.
It's tight and windy. You'll never make it. You're an elephant.
And of course the dad, he's got to stand up for their honor, and he goes to, and he kind of starts chasing him around, and Farrell's just kind of running away from him. Here they are.
The guy almost has a heart attack.
He did have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Remember, it was closed because somebody had a heart attack.
Now, so there's a bunch of killers.
That was fucking hilarious.
This is what makes it.
I love when Brendan Gleeson comes down and he's like, "What's that all about?" And Colin Farrell's like, "I don't know."
See, this I don't know if I did that scene justice to the audience here, but that's what makes the movie pretty hilarious. What did you think of this, Scott? That was absolutely hilarious, right?
Oh yeah. I still laugh at it right now. It's like you're a bunch of fucking elephants.
That was one of the best parts of the movie.
You won't make it. And then the guy trying to swing at him, he finally runs out of gas after about 30 seconds trying to catch him.
Yeah, I mean, just that scene alone is hilarious. If they took a cutting of that, I mean, I think it would go viral on YouTube. I mean, on one of those ones, TikTok or whatever. Hey, Penny, thank you. Hey, you got to watch this movie. It is hilarious. That scene alone is hilarious, right? And yeah, I said you ain't going up there. You're a bunch of elephants. That's what my quote said, right? And they start talking about, well, why are we in Bruges? And I think Gleason's character knows what's going on. I think, it's not stated, hey, you're taking him there to have a good time because I'm going to eventually make sure this guy's killed, right? But he knows what's going on, right? So he's trying to show him a good time. He kind of assumes it's coming on, and of course, Colin isn't wise enough to figure out. But the thing is, there's so much symbolism, John, with feeling bad. I killed this kid, and here's a killer, and he kills a priest, then he kills the kid, and then you have all this Catholicism, this symbolism. I mean, it's a priest that he kills, right? And then they're going up to the belfry, which was the bell they used for the church, for the town, and then you have all these churches. So and you do kind of see that, like we see that in the Boondock Saints, right? So it's and of course he feels guilty. Farrell doesn't feel guilty about anybody else he killed, but he definitely feels guilty about killing the kid. So a lot of Catholic Christian guilt going on there, right?
Yep.
Now, the interesting thing, what really makes the movie, I think, and we're going to do the scene midgets, which is politically incorrect, right? That I'm saying this, and is just how Farrell reacts to things. Hey, it's a midget. It's a midget, and then he starts chasing the guy around the square because he wants to see the midgets, right? He's like a kid at the zoo. Let's go see the monkeys, right? That's what this is like, and this is what and he's got to go and see these dwarfs and these midgets, and of course that's where he finds his love interest. Hey, Gap After Dark, how you guys doing? How you doing? And that's why I think this is really an excellent movie for Farrell. I think he did a great job, and of course he has to find the love interest there, right, John? Got to have.
Oh yeah, of course.
He can't be in a movie without a love interest, right?
He's smitten. Does he know. Little does he know.
Well, it's a funny thing because he's like this kid, 16, but he is street smart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. He is street smart. So
yeah. When he keeps up though, what are you filming midgets for?
Yeah. It's like maybe he's on the spectrum. He doesn't have a filter, right? I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good idea. That's probably true.
Yeah. Well, and of course he sees this. We find out later she isn't. Like I said, no character in here is actually a good person except for the lady who runs the hotel, right, Scott? And we find that out about her. And of course, he's interested in midgets and the pretty girl. That's who he is. But what do you think? I also think maybe he's portraying a guy that's a little bit on the spectrum there.
I think so. I didn't even think of that word until you just mentioned it. But yeah, he just doesn't get it, and he's told stuff by his partner, Gleeson, who's older, wiser, and he just doesn't compute. We got to stay in because we're going to get this phone call from Harry. If we're not here, he's going to kill us both. And he's like, can't we go to the pub? It's like, oh fuck.
But that's the charm. That's the charm of him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the character.
Yeah, you feel for him because he's not the quickest tool in the shed or sharpest tool in the shed.
He's goofy.
He's goofy. But he's charming to her. Well, he's good looking, right? That's what she's seeing, and he's he's a foreigner, right? He's a foreigner, and we find out later he's actually a mark, maybe a mark that she likes. But we see the dwarf in this just a little bit, because this scene ends up the gal takes over a little bit most of this, but it's an actor named Jordan Prentice. Now I think the dwarf Jordan Prentice did a fantastic. His name is Jimmy, the character in this thing. He did a fantastic job, and he reminded me of who was I can't remember the name of the dwarf in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Dinklage.
Yeah, just really, I mean, he's a dwarf. He obviously gets cast in character roles, but he's excellent in the movie, right? That's kind of how I see it. And you don't, I obviously this is the second time I watched it, so I knew what the end was going to come on, but you don't see it coming till much later in the movie when he's dressed up as a little boy. Maybe this is kind of odd, and maybe you get a little inkling, but just the whole storytelling, they're blending all these little themes together, and when we get to the climactic end, it all makes sense, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah, the little guy does remind you of Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones, but part of that is they look a lot. Most of the little people look the same, the heads and everything else. But Dinklage is a hell of an actor too, hell of an actor.
Yeah, just the attitude of superiority. You see that with Jordan Prentice's character, and you see that in I forget the name of Lannister. Is it Tyrion? Yeah, it's Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah, Tyrion Lannister, played by Peter Dinklage
in the Game of Thrones, right? So, and this is where I just note that Farrell's character Ray is just like a spoiled child. I want this, I want that, and all right. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Can't sit still. He's got ADHD. He can't sit in the room and wait. He's got to go out and drink, do something.
Well, I think one of the funniest scenes is when they get to the hotel. She does leave her business card. He thinks he's getting blown off, but he actually charms her out of her phone number. She thinks, oh, this guy will be easy, Mark. We didn't touch it, is when they both get to the hotel. And so, well, we got 2 rooms here. Well, I only have 1. And it was I got to share a room with this guy for 2 weeks. Yeah, so
exactly. There's a little midget guy.
Here's Jordan, and he walks by me. I think he gives him the thumbs up or something like that. He's getting the number. So, but yeah. All right. So, and then after this scene, we start getting a little bit in the backstory, and it's now these guys are killers, but you see that he is developing a friendship, I would say relationship with the hotel owner too. I guess I think with these even the Cosa Nostra, they see civilians as civilians, right? And that's what he sees her at. I'm here, but she's a civilian. She's not part of the game.
Yeah, and what the director's trying to show too is there's humanity in everybody. Not, killers still have some humanity in them.
Yeah. All right, Scott. So we got to get the lady's point of view, and since your wife watched it, what'd you think of? Did she mention Colin's character? Did she like it?
She just thought, he's a simpleton. He just doesn't catch on. What is it? when you go into a crowded room, read the room before you start saying anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just blurts everything out. Doesn't like being in. We could have headed out anywhere in London, Covington. He starts naming all the places they could hide out. I mean, for whatever reason, he does not want to be in Bruges.
It's a shithole.
It's a shithole.
And Gleason's
Got
like,
this
it's
beautiful
gorgeous.
square. You're standing in this beautiful square, and he's like, "This shithole."
Well, his obviously his interests are way different than Gleason's interest at this point. Now, so when Gleeson gets back to the hotel, there's a note from Harry, and it's the funniest thing because I mean Harry sends him there and we find out that Harry sees this as an ideal or magical place. That's what comes out.
Oh yeah, that was sickening.
And he's sending him there to have a good time, but then when you read the note, he's mad at him that they left the room.
Yeah.
And every other word.
Every other word is F. Yeah. Where
Yeah.
the heck were you? Or why aren't you there? Well, it's like, it's like, and Gleeson, it's funny because you could tell he's used to managing the personality. Don't argue with him because that's a waste. Oh yeah, we were just out, just the pub down the street.
Very anal supervisor.
Just for an hour. Yeah. You never had anything like that, John, right? No.
Nope.
I did.
Yeah. Was his name Pat? No.
It was John, right, Scott?
He was a lieutenant.
Excuse me.
Heidi.
No. We worked well together.
You guys.
Heidi.
Well, you definitely made the office fun, right? That was kind of a stressful time for me, but you made it.
That was a great time.
You did your work, and
Department took all the fun out of work, so I had to keep it in.
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Oh God. Yeah, I remember when you called that guy a wuss and I made you call on yourself. I go, oh God, you did that publicly, John? You did that in front of briefing, John?
That's what I was going to said it too.
I made him call on himself. You call and report yourself. I don't want to report you. You have to call and report himself.
Yeah, and I called. You know what's funny? I called. The girl goes, "You called for what?" I said, I did this. My captain told me to call you. She goes, okay, bye.
Because everybody was all weird back then. I mean,
ain't that the truth?
They still are. It's,
you look at somebody wrong. They're, oh my God, he looked at me with weird eyes. I want sexual harassment lawsuit.
And it was somebody you worked with before too, which was God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
what are you gonna do? Forget
what
about
are
it.
you gonna do? Yeah. People get soft. That's it's what are they? It's kind of a little bit what's going on in society today, where I get a little, I cringe with Trump, but I've been so conditioned after 38 years of law
Trump.
enforcement and stuff that you can't say this, you can't say that, and then after a while I'm like, he's a New York developer. He's used to taking a punch and counter punching. He doesn't pull any more punches anymore. He tried to do that in his first term, and all they did was run over him. And so now he's like, no filter. He's going to do whatever he wants.
Well, he realized that first term that a lot of people that told him, well, these are good people to work for you, they were all backstabbers.
Yeah, they let him down. Yeah,
not anymore.
And he took on the governor of Maine, who I guess he did a executive order say that there's only two genders and boys can't compete in girls' sports.
In girls' sports. Yep.
And the governor of Maine decided that she's not going along with that. He called her out at a dinner or brunch or whatever it was and said, "Where's the governor of Maine? I heard, is she in here?" She's, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. She said, "Well, I'll see you in court." He goes, "Okay, well, I'll see you in court, but you know what? You're going to lose."
Yeah, and I'm not going to give you any funding.
Huh?
He told that guy he's not going to give him funding.
Yeah. So
if you ever seen her, she looks like a dude.
Oh yeah, I did see her. I don't know.
She's fugly, very fugly.
But he doesn't have any.
Yourself again.
He doesn't have any filter. John doesn't have any filter, and Harry doesn't have any filter. and Colin doesn't have any filter, right? So
Hey, the very first podcast I did with you, I used the F-bomb, and I've tried not to use it since.
I know.
But every once in a while it pops up.
I know. I think I've successfully avoided the F-bomb here on Pop Culture Minefield just because I was challenged. Because the Gary,
You're an altar boy, so come on.
yeah, he owns a channel, and I said, and if you go on his show, man, he does Military Monday, and he does a couple other stuff, and he's just dropping it all the time, So and I like the guy; he's great. But I said, well, that's not really me. so then I said, I'm just gonna just be me. I'm not gonna worry about that. But I love Trump now, though. At first, I used to cringe over it, but I'm like, you know what? Let them have it. They need to hear it. They need to hear it.
Yep.
Dude looks like a lady.
Yeah. The Aerosmith song. Dude, you got a lady. I can't sing it.
All right. Well, we're having way too much fun here. Let's go to the scene backstory. We need to get into this backstory thing, and then you finally see why they're in Bruges, and this is so he's having a flashback. He's in Bruges. He's at a park. He's watching what's going on, and this is where he's talking to the father. And he talks about he's confessing. I love that. This is the funny scene too. Yeah, I kill people for money. You kill people for money? Yeah. So what do you do, John? I mean, you're Catholic, right? 5 Hail Marys,
Oh yeah.
That's 20 Our Fathers, Go to the rosary 150 times. I mean, you kill people for money, and then of course he's actually there to kill the priest. I didn't quite get why he's there. I'm assuming it's some kind of abuse.
Yeah, there was something that came up. There was just a small little dip in some of the dialogue. I think it's because he was diddling kids.
Yeah.
And they went to Harry to have Harry put the guy out. He did it.
Harry Walters says hello. Yeah. Are you deaf? Harry Walters says, and he just shoots him right here, right? And these are the old style confessionals, right? Where you have to talk through the screen. Remember that, John?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And yeah, I always, could you imagine having to do like 3 classrooms of 3rd grade or whatever? I don't know what age you have to confess now. Was it 10?
Oh God, don't
as
ask
a
me.
priest? Oh my God, I stole my, brother's, dump truck or whatever, little toy, and this is where we see him assassinate the priest, and he's shooting through the priest. And then we see this, of course, we see this very angelic looking,
exactly,
cherub looking boy who's still seated, with this little whatever his list of Our Fathers and Hail Marys he's got to say.
Would you? I don't know. First thing I asked my wife was, "Where's his parents? What's this kid doing in this church in the middle of the afternoon with a priest?"
Well, that's maybe why
maybe why he's there.
So let's see. Oh, here he is. Here's a list of being moody. Here are the things he was going to confess to. I think he was waiting to go next.
Yeah.
Remember how you had to make a list of things? I think when we did it, they made you make a list of things that you were going to go in, so that you didn't go in there and waste the priest's time. I guess the nuns, because I went to Catholic school, so you had nuns still and all that stuff. But here's where I'm talking about. You see, here he's looking at this picture, and it's interesting because this picture was interesting. It showed the skeleton with a note in his hand, and he's giving it to somebody else, and that reminded him of the kid. Remember, the kid had a note in his hand. So, and the skeleton is of death, right? And he's giving a note to somebody else. So even where they went in Bruges and the artwork they saw, because this is very dark stuff. I think this is supposed to represent purgatory or hell. And it's, if these guys are very Catholic, he knows that, I think he recognizes that he's going to hell for killing the kid. I don't know why they wouldn't recognize that they're going to hell for killing all the other people, but he definitely he's a simpleton, I guess, right, John?
Yeah, but it's all reasoning. There's a reason to kill the adult because they abuse kids. I'm good with that. but little babies are innocent. Kids are innocent. So that's what bothers Colin and him and Gleeson.
Right.
We got a job to do. We'll do it. But kids?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I guess they all figure everybody's part of the game. If they're killing them for the
Exactly.
But they're talking about purgatory here. This is kind of like where you go, and I guess it's kind of you go there, and if you've done things wrong, you can't go into heaven until you've done some kind of penance in purgatory. You wait. Are you familiar with that, John? You know.
Yep.
You know that's where you're going, right? First.
Not me.
That's first.
Hey, according to Francis, now there is no purgatory.
There is no purgatory. Yeah, he's on his last legs too, right?
No, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He's a charlatan. I can't wait till they replace him.
Well, I think we need somebody who stands up for Christians and Catholics, because I think they're getting killed around the world and nobody.
Oh, absolutely. You know, they brought in. There was a post of 6 bishops that are in line.
Yeah.
And one of them is the sycophant of Francis. So no. And then there's a couple that are different types of things. There's one from America that is like Pope John Paul.
I personally would prefer a moderate that actually stands up for Christians and Catholics. Their mission
John Paul.
Their mission is to protect them around the country. That's the world. That's what I would be. But they're going through these religious things, and this only adds to Colin's guilt, right? It only pushes him in that direction. And I'm sure Harry was thinking, well, let him just have this magical trip to Bruges, but in reality, it's just adding on to the guilt that he feels. Did you see that in the movie, Scott?
Yeah, and then Brendan Gleeson's taking him to all these religious, explaining to him about purgatory and Colin Farrell. So you mean it's like Tottenham? And throughout the movie, Colin Farrell's always referencing some area of London. But Colin Farrell has no clue what any of that, Brandon Gleeson has to explain all the different steps.
Yeah, and it's funny, but he's probably been going to churches for a long time, but he doesn't understand any of it.
Right. I go to Catholic Mass with the wife, and I call myself a CEO, Christmas and Easter only. But
a part-time Catholic.
Yeah, so we went to there's a Catholic church by us in California, and she's like, well, I want to go in to do Mass. And I said, well, I'll sit out here in the parking lot, wait for you. So then her and my daughter went in, and I came in about 5 minutes later, and she's like, I thought you were going to wait in the car. And I said, well, I want to see what Jesus has to say today. She's like, she tried, if you I wouldn't say convert, because I'm really not religious. But she's like, you go to confession and get a lot off your chest. I told her I don't have that much time. Start Catholic watch. I get it.
Yeah, just take a short list in there, right? You'd have your little list. Okay, here are the 3 most important, right?
I'll do 3 this week. I'll do 3 more next week.
Well, you know what's interesting is my uncle lived in California until recently for a few years. You met my uncle, John.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
the priest.
His friend, and his friend, both retired priests. And I took him to the San Diego Museum Art, and they had a lot of paintings would have religious themes in them, right? And it's way different looking at art painted in 600 years ago with religious themes, because I'm looking at it, I don't understand what the key means, I don't understand what the line means, but boom, they look at it, they know, because they had to study theology, so they can look at the art and they can reference the biblical reference that was the inspiration for the art, which
right.
it was really pretty interesting. It's like, God, I think retired priests who got nothing to do ought to just be docents and walk around and talk about the different art. I mean,
not a bad idea.
And just explain this is what's going on in this piece of art. But so it was very interesting, and it reminded me obviously the artwork that we're seeing in Bruges is, obviously hundreds of years old. It's in their national museums, but probably much older than what I was seeing in San Diego. But it was interesting. Let's roll the next scene. I think it's yeah. What's Belgium famous for? Do you remember? I don't know if you remember that line. So it's, remember the line? He's he's dating with her. He got Gleason's character let him go on a date if he went out on the town with him, right? And looked at all the different sites. And so he's out on this date with this gal. And they got into a discussion, what's Belgium known for? And do you remember what the line is? It's known for its chocolates, just so that they can get to the kids. So the pedos can get to the kids. I thought that was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. It's a funny line. You remember that?
I did too, but the look on her face, like, this guy really just. That's a first date conversation.
Yeah.
You bag on the gal's on her country.
Well,
yeah, it's still a shithole.
Yeah, I don't care if you were born here; it's a shithole. Even midgets have to take drugs to stick it.
And she's like, I don't know what she thinks about him. Or maybe he's just a mark, but she's laughing at him, right? Or I don't know if she's laughing with him or laughing at him. But I thought, I thought that, and here's where you get the thing about do you know any Belgian jokes? And this is where he tells it.
I don't know any better. Oh, wait a minute, I do have one.
And this is why I think this is such a good movie, because I think he pulls it off so well.
We got a Golden Globe, I think, for the role.
We're child abuse and murder lately. Do you know any Belgian jokes? And this is where he comes up with
I do know about you.
What's Belgium famous for? Child abuse. And they only invented chocolate to get to the
kids. She's like, what the?
That's hilarious. Hey, when you guys went in the academy, did you ever have a guy that came and talked to you in the academy and he told you about Simi Valley? In my class in 190, we get this guy comes in. He's a deputy or sergeant, lieutenant, I don't remember. And he's talking about, he's from child crimes and all that.
Yeah.
He says, "Where's the child abuse capital of the world?" And everybody looks, we go out. He goes, "Anybody live in Simi Valley?" 5 people raise their hand. He goes, "Child abuse capital of the world."
I think we got the lecture, but it was Antelope Valley when I went through. But
oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I slept through that.
Did you sleep through that one? Well, I thought that was, we had the elephant one. That was hilarious. And I thought this thing, what's Belgium known for? It's just invented chocolate just to get to the children. I thought that was hilarious. But he delivers a line, and that's one of the greatest things about somebody who's good at when they have the comedic timing, John. Right? They're able to deliver it and maintain a straight face and carry it through, and that's a sign of somebody who's a true professional. But this is also a funny that these Canadians, or he thinks they're Americans, get all upset about smoking in the restaurant, right?
You're in the smoking section.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, he calls them the C word, right? And
yep.
I don't know. I think if somebody comes off this aggressive, I'm going to take a little bit of pause before I stand up, right, and think about it. But yeah, you're right. You're complaining about smoking in your smoking section. Yeah, that's why even the Canadians we find out later that they're Canadians these guys are a couple of Karens, or this couple's a couple Karen types. they're not even, you know what I mean? That's when I say I think all the characters are shallow, bad people, except the lady who's running the inn. So
Exactly. She's like the only one with redeeming qualities. Oh, isn't that what female is? This whole fascination with
talking about the
Vietnamese.
Vietnamese, I think this is hilarious too.
It makes no sense.
This is, this is where the wife should be holding his hand and say, "Don't do anything, don't do anything."
Yeah. Canadians.
Yeah. And of course, this sets up another scene later on, which is you find out later on. And so that's interesting. They kind of weave this all together, and they make it funny. That's why the whole dark that's why I really like this movie, even though it's slow at times. It's got some really funny. He calls him a Yankee. He calls him the C word again. This is somebody you walk away from when they start doing this stuff. You don't challenge them, right? And
I like how he justifies punching the lady, knocking her out. She had a bottle. She's a combatant at that point. That can kill you. It can. Those bottles can kill you.
And he just says, "Oh, I think we got to leave."
Yeah.
He punches them both out. Yeah, we're leaving. Oh my God.
I would never hit a woman. He just did.
And that
she had a bottle. Shit.
She had a bottle. I hit the woman who was trying to hit me with a bottle. Dangerous weapon,
It's so not my experience in traveling Europe. Everybody's usually pretty friendly. So it can only happen to Ray, right? It can only happen to Ray.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I would hit a woman if she knows karate.
God, you're pretty. I like this. He says,
and then that's a turn on right there for her.
Oh, that he says that? Yeah. So she's concerned, and then he says that. And then suddenly she goes back to,
I'm going to get money out of this guy.
Yeah.
But
I think he makes Farrell makes this movie, right? I mean, there's a lot of funny parts, and the actors are doing, but he really makes the movie. I think it did get an award too. I can't remember.
I don't know.
It got an award.
It got like a BAFTA, and he got a Golden Globe.
Did he get a Golden Globe? Yeah. Okay.
I believe so.
But my wife and I went to Edinburgh, and like I said, we look for the oldest pub, and we found the one on the Royal Mile that had been serving for like 500 years, and we were having a beer there, and the call she made was to cancel the robbery. Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah, because she's having a good time, maybe another time, right? And so we're sitting out there having a beer, and we had 2 extra seats at our table, and it was crowded. There was no, and this couple comes out, and we invite him over to sit down, and it turns out he does podcasting too, right? Because we got in a discussion about podcasting. He had a little radio show, and I said, I kind of do that as a hobby. And his wife's a writer, and she wrote crime novels. So I said, okay, well, I bought one of her books, and I read it, and I did a show with her on the show. So it was kind of
cool.
Kind of fun. So, the Americans can be civilized, I think, when we're traveling, or the Canadians can be civilized when traveling. Yeah. What do you think of the whole terrifying Canadian, the Canadian face-off where they fought it out? Remember the first game? Did you watch any of the hockey game, John?
I watched them all. I got season tickets to the Knights.
Yeah, the very first.
What I didn't like, and I was really surprised because I've met so many Canadians when they come here for games. They travel well.
Yeah.
And they're booing the national anthem. I think a lot of that brought that Trump in because they don't understand how Trump talks. He's talking about Canada will be the 51st state. That's not what he means. He means other things. But and then all they get is CNN and Canadian news, which is liberal. So when they booed, that was very disrespectful. But I think it was planned out anyways. The what the hell are those brothers' names? Kachuk. Their dad, was a pro. And back in the 80s, when they had the Canadians, he started a fight right before the game, too. So they had like father, like sons. But those, at first I thought it was a setup. But no, those were some rigged punches being sent.
Yeah, I think they had to. I think to some degree it was planned, meaning this was going to happen if they booed the flag. So maybe if they'd been respectful, maybe it wouldn't happen. But hey, I think a lot more people tuned into the games.
92 million.
Yeah, a lot more people tuned into the game, and so they made some money on that, right?
Oh, big time.
I think there's a whole different dynamic now in pro sports. Like everybody's up in arms because the Eagles are like, yeah, we're going to see the president. We're going to the White House.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh my God, the Eagles are going to the White House and they should be boycotted. It's like, that's a different time and place now.
Yeah, so on my other show, I had this really smart mathematician come on, and I asked him, I said, would he look at the counties that had Soros-funded DAs, urban counties that had Soros-funded DAs, and compare them to the states they were in and other counties that didn't have Soros-funded DAs to see how much of a shift towards Trump occurred, right? And he ended up, he started a Substack. It's actually Patty's nephew. He's just this brainiac, right? He's like one of, Elon's whiz kids, right? And he's a senior at the University of Michigan. And I said, hey, you want to do that? He heard my show and he said, wow, that's great. I said, well, you want to come on? This is what I need.
That for his thesis.
He was doing polling analysis, right? And he had a little YouTube thing. I said, well, if you do this, we'll bring you on, we'll talk about it. So he did it. And so let's see, there's 28 counties, urban counties that had Soros DAs. All but one shifted farther right or towards Trump than the state that they were in. All of them.
Yeah, because they got tired of the bullshit.
Yeah, well, which tells you that, because my premise is I believe that Soros' investment actually probably went a long way towards Harris losing. I mean, she had a lot of other liabilities, but that was a big one, right? It's called the Roman Recap on Substack, Gap, and I'm going to have him on, I think, in a couple weeks.
What is a Substack?
A Substack is they do they'll do podcast type clips and articles. A lot of them are writers and news people that they'll go there and then they'll do their opinion pieces and they sell them. You can subscribe, right? And so I think he's got 4 articles now. He's building his show. But Philadelphia, since we're talking about the Eagles, right? Philadelphia, because it's in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania was the swing state that he had to get. I mean, we found out he didn't have to really. He got all of them, so it did. Pennsylvania ended, but it was the target, right?
Right.
And so the state swung 3% towards Trump in this election from the last one, right? 3%. But the city of Philadelphia swung 5%, which is huge. That's a huge difference.
That's
right?
a red city.
Right. And when you compared it to Allegheny County, so Allegheny County is Pittsburgh, right? That's the Steeler country. And then you got Philly, the 2 largest urban areas in Pennsylvania, both had, but Allegheny, their Soros DA never got into office. He lost in the general, right? And so they never had to. That one, it mirrored the state's transition. So Philly, where they had a Soros fund DA, went much farther right than Allegheny, which just kind of mirrored the state in its move right. So my premise was that Soros went a long way towards helping Trump win his second term, based upon what the data shows. So,
well, I think Soros, he's done it for so many years now and paid so much money to get crap in there. If you ever saw his 60 Minutes interview, he hates the United States.
Yeah,
he's heavily invested here.
Yeah,
he wants to destroy the United States.
Well, then you find out recently, because I've been doing my own investigation on spending, is that a lot of the money came from the U.S. government through
USA.
Through his nonprofits to undermine cops and criminal justice all over the United States. It's actually lunacy. I don't know how we got on this, but but it's anyways, I think we're at the
break time.
Martine, are we ready? Are we ready? we got.
Yes, we
I've
are.
been ready for the last 40 minutes.
All right. All right. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes.
There's only one location on the internet where you can get it all: movie, TV, and comic industry. News and rumor analysis. Official scoops from Geekosity magazine. Reviews and interviews. So, when you need it to be Sunday, there's only one place to go, mate. Pop Culture Minefield. Where they're always talking nerd stuff. Right, jog on then. There's only one location on the internet where you can get it all: movie, TV, and comic industry. News and rumor analysis. Official scoops from Geekosity magazine. Reviews and interviews. So, when you need it to be Sunday, there's only one place to go, mate. Pop Culture Minefield. Where they're always talking nerd stuff. Right, jog on then.
Yeah. So Martine is writing. Soros hates humanity, and I wrote, Soros is in diapers now. That's God's revenge. So
Exactly.
so
But his sons are just as bad.
yeah,
His
you know, and
niece.
it's. I know we got to get back to the movie, but I looked up. Alex is in charge of the foundation now and meeting with all the politicians, and I'm thinking to myself, how does anybody take the guy serious? He's in his early 30s. He grew up with every single privilege that one could have in life. I looked up where he lived at. It was like 95% white, went to the wealthiest schools. I mean, this guy, I don't think he's probably ever earned a callus in his life.
He's a white liberal.
And only sweating he's done is at hot yoga. And, and so, I mean, the guy, why does anybody listen to this guy? At least
he's got a ton of money.
He's got money.
Yep.
I mean, Gates is kind of out there in left field, but at least Gates built something, right? Microsoft, at least he did something. This kid did nothing. And
it's like when they go, oh, Trump's, just helping out all the billionaires, blah, blah, blah. Where did you think the Democratic Party gets all their money?
Yeah, I
actually mentioned that we're for the working man, but we're going to have all the stars.
Exactly. Why would? How can this guy? How can this guy advocate for the working man? Because the man has, like I said, he's probably never earned a callus in his life. I mean, he probably didn't know what they are. How do you get a callus? Oh my God,
Well, and just to clarify what you said about Gates, he did not create anything. He bought that company, and then he hired people to make it what it is today. But he never created anything.
Well,
him and Steve Jobs started
in
a garage.
That's Apple.
Yeah, that's Apple.
Well, they were together. They were together, and then they split.
Did they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they started together building computers, PCs in I think Bill Gates' parents' garage. And then they had a falling out, or they.
No, it wasn't like that. It was Steve Ballmer who was making the computers with another guy They were making the Apple. Jobs. Yeah.
Well, Gates. We're talking about
Yeah. Okay.
Gates.
Gates. As John said, Gates. He just bought code. The code.
Did you say he wrote or he bought?
Bought. He bought code.
Okay. All right.
And then he acquired more people. Then they
Well, let's put it this way. It does take some level of risk putting money out there and building a company like he did. We're comparing him to Alex Soros, who's done nothing with his life other than be a disruptor. And I saw him on a podcast once, and they asked him a challenging question, and I think that's where Harris got her mode of speaking from, because he was all over the place. I'm going, hey, I think he was at what's the one where Davos, right, where all the
IMF, International Monetary.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, why do they ask this guy anything? I mean, I could answer the question better, and I'm not, but of course, I don't have billions of dollars behind me, but this is the guy that's funneling money to operatives, and he can't even string two credible thoughts together. When I say credible, meaning meaningful, right. And they mean something, right? That they're impactful, that they're insightful, because he hasn't had to his whole life.
They have to speak in word salad, because if they say what they really have in mind, everybody will throw them on a cliff.
A cliff. And you should know they've been interfering with South America a lot.
Yep. The USAID list, I'll tell you, the money that went to Soros, and he sent to his things to disrupt our media and the election. Sickening.
Yeah. Yeah. I just
paid for our own destruction.
I just did a podcast called I was a guest on it, called the Bail Post. And they have like 4 Soros funded DAs in Texas that are very disruptive. Yeah, Austin's got one, so that's Travis County, and then there's Bayhar, Texas, and there's Harris, Texas. I think there's one other one I can't. Harris is Houston, Bayhar is San Antonio, and then St. Travis County, Texas is Austin.
Those are all the liberal areas.
Yeah,
just like in Arizona. When I lived in Arizona and I moved from Prescott to Scottsdale, we had the old guy. I can't even think of his name. There was the tough sheriff.
Yeah, Arpaio.
And they went to his sergeant, who tried to run against him twice and got destroyed. Soros gave him $3 million for advertising, and that's how he got in. And he's as leftist as they can come. I never even heard of Soros until then.
They have to be, otherwise they get. So the DA from Harris County, she came on my show, Kim Ogg. She was kind of she leaned left, but she had a problem with not prosecuting domestic violence cases, and she had a problem with she wanted to prosecute cases because she was a career prosecutor, right? So she understood, hey, there is value in prosecuting people, and so she asked for an increased budget. And I tell the story because it's Miriam Krinsky, who worked for Jim McDonald. It's incestuous, who was running Fair and Just prosecution, which was funded by George Soros. Called her up, and she says, yeah, she yelled at me. How dare I ask for an increase in my budget? How dare I ask for money to prosecute people? And they primaryed her, and she's out of office now. And she was a left of center, and she said to me, she goes, what they did to Jackie Lacey was terrible. She was a good DA, right? So
yeah, she was.
She was kind of cut a little bit like Jackie Lacey, only she was probably even a little further left of Jackie, but she wasn't crazy. Like, all right, we got to get back to the movie. Let's go to the ripoff, because this is So Martine says the girlfriend called their boyfriend off on the robbery because she's liking Colin here, this is where he comes in, and he pulls his gun, and we find out it's a ripoff, right? It's a ripoff. A lot of people have forgotten that feelings are not law is fact. I got a lot of, let's see. So here he is. So this is a ripoff, and this is not unusual, right? This happens
in Vegas all the time.
Yeah, and I know it happened used to happen in West Hollywood a lot too. Although it was, guy picks up guy, older guy, and then they rob him, right? Take his car, and I used to get a lot of stolen cars when I was working in West Hollywood, and they, some guy asked me, how'd you do it? Well, if you're working and you know who's who in the zoo, if you see one of them in a car, one of the bad guys in the car, they stole it. It's pretty simple. But a lot of them were either they gave them the car for payment, or they got it. It was ripped off, and they won't acknowledge it because, they don't want to say that they picked up a male prostitute, right? But so it's not unusual, and of course, this is a street guy. He's trying to rob Ray. He's not robbing a tourist, and he takes the gun away from him pretty easily, right? Are you really, Tom? Wow, yeah. Okay, well,
Is it a shithole, Tom?
Burgess, is it as they say in the movie? I like what I see in the movie. I want to go visit it, right? So does Scott. Scott said he's going to go visit it eventually, but maybe one day.
I've seen enough castles, Pat.
So obviously, I think Ray he gets the gun away. He knows what's going on, right? And he ends up shooting the boyfriend in the face with the blanks. It's funny because I think he pulls out a knife, right? The boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
And because he knows it's blank, and Ray says, okay, well, he still shoots him with the blanks, and he knows what that means. And then he blinds him in one eye.
Yeah.
Eric don't, because she likes him. So Eric realizes that Ray here is that she's infatuated with him, right? That's what we see going on here. So but really what after she takes him to the hospital is funny. He goes to her place and he steals her drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Horse tranquilizer, coke.
He steals her drugs.
So he goes to get on the train to leave. He's handing them all over to Kent. Oh, here's some ecstasy. Here's some pills.
Well, so all right. So Ghent is. So my favorite city is Ghent. Love it more than Bruges, Antwerp, and Brussels. Okay. All right. Well, have to keep that in mind when I still that's part of Europe I haven't explored yet. So we'll get up there in the next couple of years. So Tom, I was just telling him earlier. I did a trip to Newcastle, England, and Edinburgh, Scotland, and Glasgow. Really enjoyed it. So it was a little chilly though. A little chilly.
Yeah. But when you went to Scotland, did you go to the distilleries?
We went to one. There was only one in town in Glasgow. It had relocated back in town. All right, Tom. So what are the Belgians known for? If you've seen this movie before, you'll know. If you live close, what are the Belgians known for? As the character says, they're known for abusing their children and
chocolate.
And chocolate, but they only made the chocolate so they can get their children. So you gotta, if you haven't seen the movie, Tom, you gotta. There's some things that are just hilarious about this. So here we got the scene here, and she's got to take Eric to the hospital. What do you think, right? So this is, I mean, we do crime stuff on this, but this is typical. But you know what? They're robbing a street guy.
When they go to leave, Colin Farrell, oh great, the whole night's ruined.
Yeah, you've ruined the evening. You just never loved me.
Yeah, he wants to get laid. Oh, great, the whole night's ruined. You just let him go by himself. Stay here, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's got one eye. Let him drive to the hospital himself.
And it's funny because you can see that she likes him, right? And gives him a kiss and all that, and then he rips off her stuff, right?
But he falls for it too. That's
call me, yeah, please. I mean, this is how.
Look at the look on his face. He's like, "What?
What?
Call me. It's okay. Call me. I didn't mean this. Call me."
Yeah, that's got some great lines in it. Just shoots the guy in the face. Oh, great! The whole night's ruined.
Yeah, and he's delivering most of them, but I Gleeson kind of sets him up on some of them, and but yeah, it's funny how they interrelate because she has to be in this relationship because as we see, Eric has to have this grudge against him because Eric is the one who ends up bringing all the bad guys together towards the end, right? And
Right.
so here he is, he's stealing her drugs. Going, and of course, he doesn't even think twice about it. Oh yeah, let me just take these.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a murderer. What the hell, you know?
He doesn't even know what
Trying
it
to
is.
rob me?
Yeah. So let's go. Let's see how many. Let's go on to the next scene. Oh wait, we gotta let this one finish off here. But so what'd you think? Rip-offs happen all the time, Scott, with these prostitutes, right? But and they've just made it into this comedic kind of thing.
Yeah, it's we used to get it with that in Carson. There was that one. God, I can't remember. It was up by the 91, that hotel up there. That happened a lot.
Yeah,
it happened a lot at the Dare You Inn, which was up there.
Hey, this is Vegas. It happens a lot here.
it happens a lot. Yeah, I was in Vegas with a group of people, and they all went to get something to eat, and I just said, I'm just gonna play the slots, right? And it was like 2:30 in the morning, and I hit a thing for $300. All right, cool, And boom, very nice looking lady. Hey, would you like to spend some time with me? As soon as I hit that slot, and that's okay.
Yeah, no thanks.
So
I don't want my dick to fall off.
So this is the next scene. What are you doing? And so he's been given the orders. Gleason's been given the orders to kill Ray from Harry, and of course he's feeling guilty about it. He's a killer himself, but he's feeling guilty about killing his friend.
He's got the silencer on the gun. He's ready to do it.
Got the silencer on the gun, but this happens in La Costa Nostra, right? You're going to get killed by somebody and somebody
22 right in the back of the head.
Yep, and somebody that's close to you.
10
so
years.
This is consistent with the gangster thing. All right, you kill your best friend, you kill your partner. He messed up. He's got to die, and he killed a kid, which is Harry. Here he is. He's walking up on him, and I think this is. I wouldn't say it's a funny part, but it's. He sees him with the girl's gun, and he's.
Well, he took the blanks out and he found 38 plus P in the drawer.
Yeah. And so Gleason's going to kill him, and then he's incensed that Ray's going to try and kill himself.
Well, yeah, it comes back
that he's going to commit suicide, but not.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes back. He was so frustrated with him in the beginning, but he still loves the kid because he's training him, and that's where they're trying to bring the humanity into the film. Where I can kill people, but I love this kid. I'm not going to do it.
Well, they both got guns in their hands and they're yelling, "What are you doing? No, what are you doing?"
Exactly.
Well, later when he's trying to explain it to Ray Fiennes, Harry. So wait a minute, he was going to kill himself and you stopped him.
Yeah.
Well, this is where I think the religious part of this stuff comes in, John, because Gleeson, who is, whether he's a killer, but he also has this Catholicism. There's this. He knows if he commits suicide that he can't go to heaven, right?
Right.
You can't go anywhere, right? So,
right.
I think that's part of this. What are you doing? You can't do that. That's awful. You can't do that. I mean, I can kill you, but you can't kill yourself.
That's not fair.
That's where I just think a lot of the religious, and it's kind of like the Boondock Saints. There's a lot of religious themes through that where there's the hypocrisy of what they're doing and the values that they say they live by. And I always, whenever we worked at jail, it always struck me that, we got these criminals in here, these gangsters, and they got the Virgin of Guadalupe tattooed on their body or rosaries and all this other stuff. And they say they're good Christians and good Catholics, but they're in there for some terrible crimes. Right. But in this case, I felt Gleason's character was stopping Ray because of his friendship and the context of religion.
It's in here.
It's in there. And in the movie. I mean,
and you're like, wait a minute.
That is part of the theme of the movie is the religion, though. So I think this is one of those things that kind of drives that. And really tells you who the characters are. I don't know. You're the Catholic, John. You agree?
Oh, I agree. Yeah. And that's what they push it in the movie, because everybody's got to have a little bit of goodness in them, and so they brought the religious aspect in it.
Well, I did like when they're saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why do you got that? What are you doing?" And then they have to explain to each other what they're doing, and they do.
Well, and then when he tells him Harry wanted me to kill you, he's like, "You were going to kill me?" He's like, look at him like, "What?" And they both got guns. I thought they were going to have a shootout, but no.
Give me the gun.
I can't kill myself, but you can kill me. That's not fair.
Yeah.
And he says, "Give me your gun," because he's afraid he's going to kill himself. No, give me the gun. I don't trust you. So he takes the gun away from him. That's why it's. That's why I just think this movie's funny, right? Even though there's some slow periods to it, it's when it picks up and when the hypocrisy of these situations jump up, and then the reaction of the characters. I think that's just what makes it funny. Whether it's Chloe and Ray or Gleeson character and Ray. So just funny stuff. And this is you notice there's not a lot of action in this movie, yet it's entertaining.
Yeah.
That's entertaining. I did a movie. I think you might have did it with me, John. The 12 Angry Men.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where it's really just good actors playing out a
scene
movie to make it very entertaining. Not a lot of action. I think you did. I'm talking classics now. You did.
Yeah, we did the classic one, right?
12 o'clock noon, and we did Harry Fonda. Yeah, the older one. Yeah, and
High Noon.
And then 12 Angry Men. And that's old Hollywood where the interplay. And this is where I think where you have really good actors, they could do stuff like this. When you have the actors that are used to blowing stuff up and that's their shtick, it just isn't the same, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's my
12 Angry Men. You were mesmerized at the acting. They kept you engrossed. You just want wow. Yeah, those were real actors back in the day.
Yeah, and good movies. And the interesting thing, going back and looking at some of that old, I think I did the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, we did that one.
We did that. I did that. I had the Homicide guy with us, Danny R. Smith, right? We did it. Yeah. And he was pretty good because he writes a little neo-noir in his books, and it was very entertaining. But and that the whole, I mean, if you remember Bogart's thing, he was funny on his lines. If you listen to his lines. And that's what these actors pull it off, and that's what I see in this movie. That's what I like. Okay, let's. I think I got a scene here. It's called "I Killed a Little Boy." It is. Let's do that scene, and this is right through the whole movie. He's struggling with the fact that he killed a little boy, that he can't get over it. Which is, as you said, John, you got to see that they have a little bit of humanity in them, right?
Yep.
And I have to tell you, they kind of comb his hair forward to make him look kind of goofy in this scene, don't you think? And,
oh yeah.
And they button up the shirt all the way to the top and kind of giving the kind of the savant look. And but he's struggling with the fact that he killed the little boy and he wanted to kill himself, and so I guess it makes this gangster, this killer. He has some humanities and some values, which.
So when he says silencer too, it warmed my heart. My wife looked at me and says, "There's no such thing as silencers. There's suppressors." And I'm like, "Hallelujah! You got it. I've been saying it forever."
She said that to you?
Yeah, because I'm always, every time somebody brings up silencers, I go, "There's no such thing as a silencer. That's a Hollywood thing. It's a suppressor."
We were putting the MP5s out, and they had the suppressors on them, but it was I don't know if it was a flash suppressor. I don't know what it was, but Jeff wanted these cool things on the end. I don't remember. Scott, you took over the team. What were those? And
those are suppressors. We had suppressors on the M4s and the MP5, which to me, I was an ops sergeant when they got them, and I was told Dan Cruz, who was the captain, MP5s are a waste of money. We don't do entries. We need to get M4 carbines. They're only 2 inches longer,
Right.
and you can stop somebody a mile away. But
I took so much heat for getting that equipment because, God, but it was needed, and but
and
yeah,
the reason, well,
what
they
do we
look
need the
sexy.
suppressors for? What do we need the suppressors for? And I'm like, I know why. A little bit it was the cool factor, and certainly if you're shooting in a contained environment, if it does suppress some sound, it can help. But I think it was a more cool factor by the guy who was putting the team together than anything else.
Oh yeah, it was a cool factor all the way.
Yeah, but we're looking, and this is where you see that these two characters actually really like each other.
Yep.
And Gleason's like either the father or the older brother, right? He really
Exactly.
There's a friendship there, a relationship there, and they like each other. And he understands his pain. He doesn't want him to die. He doesn't want to kill him, and we find out later that's what he actually does. And they make a plan that you're going to get out of town, right? Or I'm going to give you money. You're going to get out of town. And that's what happened. So it's a funny scene, a very serious scene, but they added so much humor to it. It makes it very interesting. That's what, like I said, that's why I like this movie. And let's see, I killed the boy. We just did that scene. How much time I got left here? Got to work it out here. If I killed a kid, that would kill myself on the spot. Oh, this is the other thing. In between scenes, we have Harry. Obviously I can't do every scene, but we have Harry talking about why he has to die. They end up he has discussion with Gleason's character, and I keep calling him Gleason character. What's Gleason's character's name? Ken. So Harry's having a discussion with Ken, and he says, if I killed a kid, I would kill myself, right? This is what Harry, and this is all a setup because oh, the chief is great. I will say, thank you so much.
Oh, you kiss ass.
Yeah, but Tom, this is a really funny movie.
Go by rank, John.
A guy from Belgium kissing your
all
butt.
right,
Oh,
Tom,
my
I got to
God.
explain. Both of these guys worked for me before, and my success is greatly due to these two guys and other people like Matt and some other folks too. And but yeah, they did good work for me, and I like having them on. We have a good time. They made it. We were working a very stressful place, and you guys made it a lot of fun, anyways.
I had a great time.
I'm just glad you gave me Scott as a sergeant. We got along great.
Did I tell that story, Scott, about how you got selected?
Yeah.
So we needed a new ops sergeant, and John comes in. Well, why don't we get there was a good-looking girl who was on maternity leave, and we can get her. She's nice. She's capable.
I did not.
Yes, you did. And I said, John, she's only up here because she's pregnant, and she's, why don't we survey all the lieutenants and see who the best writer is? and this is you got it. There was some picking of eye candy to work in the executive offices going on there, and I won't say who else is involved in that. And so sure enough, Scott's name hits the top of the list, and so we go from this cute little gal and to this Viking looking guy who also happens to be pretty good at computers, which has helped out a lot too.
Thank God.
And yeah, a good writer, got his work done, and was good at computers, so he ended up being very valuable. And that's how Scott, you ended up in the offices there, and here you guys are. It was a match made in heaven, right? It's like Ken and Ray. You guys can figure out who's Ken and Ray. That's
I know.
I gotta be Ken.
KFWB.
So
I'm the straight one, though.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think I did this one, but we got to talk about the scene. You're an inanimate object.
Yeah.
So Ken ends up talking to Harry and says he couldn't kill Ray, and he gave him some money, and he's on his way out of town, and there's nothing you could do about it. He's heading. Where's he at? He's somewhere in Europe. I have no idea where he's at, and
That didn't last long.
no, it didn't. And that's a funny scene too. And of course, so Harry's at home, and he starts smashing the receiver onto the phone. And some of this is just the shocking. All of us would just put the phone down and then pondering what our next move is. And Harry is a whack job, and this is where you see he's a whack job beyond all the F-bombs that he drops when he leaves a message. And he's very controlling, and he starts smashing. His kids are in the other room. His wife in the other room. They're getting ready for Christmas, and he's smashing the receiver onto the phone, and plastic pieces are flying all over the place. Could you imagine if you're an actor and you get the scene? Okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to smash the phone receiver onto the phone. And I think he was yelling F, F, F. And,
yeah.
And we want you to add in a plethora of F-bombs. That's your
And his wife comes in and says, "Well, Harry, that's an inanimate object." I think there's a F you, you're an inanimate object. And he yells back at her. That was, you don't think that's going to be funny, but that scene was hilarious. It shows that he's a whack job. And, the funny thing is you see the wife go, okay, he's in one of those moods.
Right.
Calm down, Harry. It's just the phone. And when he eventually tells her that he's got to leave, and she knows the business. She knows that he's going.
Are you taking the fellas with you? I got to do this one alone.
Well, she knows. This is where I say a lot of the characters in here are, they're bad people. She knows what he's going to go do. Is it going to be dangerous? Yes. She knows he's going to go kill somebody. She knows his business. Right? That's what's going to happen. But I just. I didn't use that as a scene, but I thought that was a pretty funny scene as well. And it showed just what a controlling whack job Harry the boss is. Right?
Well, when he's on the phone and he tells Ken, if I shot a kid,
yes,
I would blow my brains out just on principle.
Yeah, on the spot. Yep.
On the spot, just on principle.
And that comes back to bite him in the ass later.
Right.
Yes, it does.
But what's funny is I don't know if you caught it in the movie though. Kent loves Harry because Kent's wife was murdered.
Right.
And Harry took care of it for him.
Right.
And he's always been indebted to him.
Yeah. And it's really weird, this allegiance that they have towards each other. They're all killers, and they have this allegiance towards each other, and they have this code that they allegedly operate under. It's. We've done a few movies. I haven't done Black Mass yet. I'll have to do that one. But Whitey Bulger, man, that guy killed everybody. He didn't care, right? As a gangster, and you have some La Cosa Nostra, Roy DeMeo, and some of those other. They were like that too. They were just stone cold.
Ray DeMeo was cut and dry. He'd kill anything for anything.
Yeah, and they had no, and sometimes you see the Godfather of the movie, this romanticized version of who they are, and when you start killing people, you kind of lose sense of right and wrong, right? Suddenly, any problem you solve it with killing, right? Killing civilians, right? Just whatever. I forget what was the one. Oh, it was what's his name? I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was Albert Anastasia. So there was a straight civilian, who gave information on a gangster, and the police got him and arrested him. And I think he ended up getting convicted. And Anastasia said, "Hey, snitched on he's a snitch." Well, a civilian isn't a snitch. A civilian isn't in the game. You have to be in the. And he killed him, hunted him down, and killed him.
Yeah.
Because as far as he was concerned, which tells you he's kind of a whack job, right? Because
Anastasia was crazy.
Yeah, anybody else would say, well, he's not in the game. You can't be a snitch if you're not in the game. Right. But in his mind, he was, right? And then you got Gotti. I think his son was run over by a neighbor, clearly accidentally, and Gotti killed him. It was a kid's call, and Gotti killed him too. So these guys pretend like they have a code, I guess is what I'm saying, and they really,
Well,
really,
that's the dichotomy of being a gangster.
yeah, they don't really have the code that they say they have, right? So,
Well, even in the thing I saw on the Angels last week, it's a 4-part series, and talking to several heads of the Angels in it, or former heads, and they're talking about their code and this and that. And you don't kill kids, and they say one thing but they do another. It's the same
Right.
with the mob.
right,
You know, yeah, you're not supposed to kill kids, or you're not supposed to kill cops. But there's some people out there that they'll kill everybody. That Ray DeMeo was one of them.
yeah. So I didn't do this as a scene as well too, but in the movie, so he's on the train, he's pondering life.
I thought
And
this was funny.
He's out of Dodge, and the police come up, and a police officer comes up, and he looks at him, and Ray is trying to hide from the cop, right? All the stuff that we see, and he says, "You hit the Canadian." I hit the Canadians. You hit the Canadians. And they have this exchange about Canadians, and he has no idea what the hell they're talking about, right?
Yeah, he goes, "I hit an American."
Yeah.
Americans, right?
I don't know anything about a Canadian.
Yeah.
And he stands up and gets arrested, and then you see the two Canadians who he punched out in the bar on the train, and you go, of course, if you don't have bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all for some of these guys, right? And
that was funny when he says, "You didn't hit the Canadian." No, I hit an American. Well, and he leans back and goes, "Oh yeah." I hit them.
They're Canadians.
But from a law enforcement, I thought was, coming from that side of the tracks. You have all this shooting and murders going on in Bruges, and you find the guy that punched Canadians.
Yeah.
On a train going out of town.
Well, it's we're going to see the setup with the dwarf too later on in the movie, but so I mean, I don't know what mind writes these things, because I told you I interviewed the author of a novel from Edinburgh, right? She's actually living in Northern England, I think, and so I read the book, and there's all these really better than our scenes. I mean, it's a crime novel and a family drama thing in there, but she has a lot of this racy stuff. And I remember when we were sitting down at the table, and I said, "Well, I'll interview on her show." And her husband goes, "I have no idea where she gets some of the thoughts she gets that she writes in those books." Just keep in mind, I didn't know what he was talking about, right? And then I read the book, and it's called Serious Foul Play. And I read the book. I go, okay, now I know what he's talking about. And I had to tell her, I go, okay, well, some of this stuff is beyond what I would talk about. So we'll
a little risque.
We're a little risque. We'll skip the X stuff and just focus on the rest of it.
You write a novel that your husband has to give public
disclosure. Yeah, it's funny. And I go, okay, I guess I know what her husband's talking about now. But it was a fun book. She wrote a sequel to it, so maybe down the road I'll read that book and do that book as well. Eastern Promises. Yeah, that's a good movie too. That's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie about the Russian mob. Yeah, I forget what's in it. The actor, did he play James Bond? No, he didn't.
No, he played in the Lord of the Rings.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good movie too. And those guys.
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah. Mortensen. You know what movie I liked him in is Appaloosa.
Not Appaloosa.
Is it Appaloosa?
The name of his horse. Shit.
It's with where they played town marshals and.
Yeah, that's the one where he played Marshal. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Hidalgo.
No, he played Appaloosa. It was with I'm thinking of the actor. He's a great actor. He played in Westwood or whatever too. And you guys have you met Larry Wilcox? He's friends with me on Twitter. And I have to say, decades ago, when I was in my 20s, I met Eric Estrada. So I think that's who you're meant. You got Strata there. It's Estrada. And but it was just at a sushi place, and friend of mine.
What he has to understand about that show, Chips, there really wasn't a lot of real shit going on there.
No,
that was Hollywood.
That's
and handle police work.
And Wilcox got deep into cocaine and other stuff, and his career kind of stalled because of that, right? I mean, they were typecast after that. But Ponch, he was in. Oh, come on! It was the Wamba movie, Choir Boys. He was in the movie Choir Boys. So
there's a good Russian cop detective movie, Gorky Park.
Yeah, that one. Yes, that is good.
That's a very good one. Appaloosa had Ed Harris was the other marshal.
That's it. That's the guy.
Yeah, Ed Harris and Viggo Mortensen. That was a good movie, but a little slow for me. But if you ever see Viggo Mortensen in Hidalgo, that is a phenomenal movie. It's lovely.
Yeah, I watched that one too, and it's based upon a true story, isn't it? And
it's about a long distance horse race.
And his pony, it's a pony, and the Arabian horses and all that other stuff.
And his is a mix of Mustang and Appaloosa.
Oh, okay.
That's how Nez Perce Indians stayed away from the cavalry. They had the fastest horses that could go for hours.
Well, if you haven't seen Appaloosa with Ed Harris and I forget the name of the actor, John, and I would see it. It's a great Western, really good Western. I enjoyed it a lot. In fact, I just watched a couple clips of it the other day. All right, let's get on to our next scene, and the next scene is this is Jimmy. This is our dwarf, our midget, and so after Ray doesn't have as good. He misses out on having relations with his gal there. He ends up hooking up with Jimmy, and they're having a party with a couple hookers. And of course, Ken ends up there too. He's at the bar having a drink, and he's struggling. Ken's struggling. He knows that he's upset Harry, and by their code, Harry's got to come and take him out. Here's Harry. But with Jimmy, the midget, he's got a couple of prostitutes there, and Ken is there, and I think I might have got my scenes wrong, but Ken is there, and
that's when they're doing the dope and talking about
and they're talking about the race war, and this is where the midget's just a midget, kind of an arrogant knucklehead, and but then he starts talking about a race war, how he hates blacks, and he's using the words. And I think one of the gals there, one of the prostitutes, is black, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying all this stuff. And this is actually the scene after this. But why don't you hold the scene, Martine? Because I think this is the climax in here. And so anyway, Jimmy and they're all partying using Chloe's drugs, and Jimmy starts talking about a race war, and it is a funny exchange because obviously Jimmy's a midget or a dwarf, and Ray starts and they're pushing back on the whole race war thing, particularly Ken is pushing back, right? And Ray's saying, well, where are the midgets going to stand in this race war, right? Where are they going to be?
Is it black midgets against white midgets? I fucking died. I died when he said that part.
Well, the part where Ken sets up how he becomes associated with Harry.
Right.
When the midgets is going and Colin Farrell are talking about the race war, and the midgets and who's going to Vietnamese are going to be. Well, I'm not going to fight against the Vietnamese. I'll go be with the blacks. but Ken says, okay, what about this? My wife was murdered. She was a black woman. So where do I stand in all this? And then they ask, well, Ken says, or Colin asks him, so did you take him out? And he's like, no, somebody else did for me. So
which was Harry.
So, but he's
they said, well,
following all this.
He said, well, you get to pick your side, right?
Yeah,
I can pick the white or the black. White or black midgets? Oh yeah.
Just depends who has more people. That's the side you go. The least amount you got to go beat for that.
Yeah.
The lesser amount, you go there.
Well, and then later on, they're talking, and Jimmy just says, "Well, that was just the cocaine speaking." And I was watching the scene, and you know what? You guys get drunk and they say stupid stuff when they've been drinking, and that's what I saw in the whole scene,
Exactly.
right? And he, of course, doesn't remember any of it. And of course, Ray leaves. When Ray leaves, he takes his drugs with him. No, I'm not leaving this here with you guys. And he takes his drugs.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Let's roll that scene that we had up there, and Martine and I think it's Harry and Ken talking. And I think they were already up at the Belfry, right? They talked, and they were having a beer together, and he says, "How are we going to handle this?" Well, let's go up to the Belfry. Now, the funniest part, I think one of the funniest parts of this scene is when they go up there.
And the guy's locking it up.
The guy's locking it up. This is the guy that says,
the same guy.
At €5, a big guy. And he says, "I told you there's no," and he puts the chain, and of course Harry's not used to. I think he touched him too. Did he put
he keeps tapping his forehead.
Keeps tapping his forehead.
I told you it's closed. Harry goes, okay.
That's why whether it's the guy running the Belfry, and then of course Harry kicks his tail, and I'm assuming killed him because the guy doesn't get up, right? He's down for the count, and that's why I'm saying. That guy was kind of a jerk. The Canadians were a jerk. I mean, Chloe in reality was not a good person. Chloe's boyfriend was not a good person. Everybody's a bad person except the lady running the hotel.
Even the acting in that scene where Harry's kicking the crap out of that guy. Before he starts kicking the crap out of him, just like the shrug that Ken's like, "No, here it comes." He just starts walking in.
Here he comes.
He knows. Yeah, he knows, right? He knows.
Harry's going to whoop his ass.
And one of the lines I think Harry says is, "Don't come off all Gandhi with me," right? Something like that. Where he's talking about you can't kill Ray. Don't come off all Gandhi with me. And then here they're negotiating. They're friends. He says, "Hey, I'm not going to fight you, dude. If you got to take your revenge, shoot me." And this is their conversation. Of course, he ends up shooting him in the leg. And of course, we have to understand why he does that, right? In the end, he can't go help Ray, and he did take some extreme measures.
Well, yeah, he didn't realize that Ray loved him so much for taking care of his wife's murderer.
Right.
So that's when he shot him in the leg. Well, I got to do something.
Exactly.
I gotta do something. Yeah. Yeah, they had their code to live by, right?
Yep.
And of course, eventually we see Ray, of course. Now this is where everything's coming together. Ray is out with Chloe, and they end up seeing Jimmy, and it was just the cocaine. I really don't believe in the race war stuff, and it all starts to come together. And of course, we see Eric. Eventually, Eric sees them having Ray having dinner because Chloe had bailed him out of jail from assaulting the Canadians. Sees him having a drink and dinner, whatever, and now he's looking for Harry to tell Harry where Ray is at. And these guys are obviously having their. I think he's already shot him in the leg, right? Or he's going too soon.
He did.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, he's in pain now.
Oh, so they use that word all the time in their movies.
Yeah, I know the C word and the F word in this movie.
Same in the Australian movies too.
Well, remember when that original they start talking and Ken calls Harry's kids and wife.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You take that back. You take that." He goes, "Okay, I rescind what I just said."
You think you're a cunt. And oh my God, you take that back. Okay, I take it back.
And here's the psycho drunk turns out to just be a lovable little schoolboy, and this is where and it's funny because they're laughing at the dwarf here, right? And he knows. Oh, I know. It's the way I'm dressed because he's now dressed for his scene in the movie. Here he is, and he's dressed like a little boy, right? He's got this little schoolboy outfit on, and he ends up not being that bad a guy. Jimmy, he's not. He's kind of come down off his high horse, but the fact that he was talking about a race war, need for a race war, kind of He's got some darkness to him too, right? And so
Yeah.
these guys are talking, and Eric. Now I got to talk about the scene because it was hilarious too. When Ray goes to get the gun, and Eric is in there talking to the gun dealer, and he comes in and he's whining about being shot in the face by Ray, and how unfair it is, and I think Harry calls him the P word, right? Hey, you did all this. You tried to rob him. He takes the gun away from you. You did all this. You just stop whining.
I look at it as he has no fault in this at all.
yeah. Well, you didn't have any role in this at all. It just happened, right? So that was a funny scene too. I mean, there's only so many scenes you could do that we get to review, but that was a funny scene as well. But it was important that we see how Jordan Prentice looks in this, or our dwarf looks, because it's important really soon here. And they're just chuckling at him. Now, you would think Ray say, I got to get out of here. Let's get out of here right away. But now this is the guy that isn't thinking with all of his marbles there, or he's got a chance to get laid. Of course, that usually drives his thinking. So
Yeah, exactly.
And we're going to see Eric Flo is going to go by here soon. There's Eric, crazy Eric, who's blinded one eye now. And he sees him, and then of course now he's starting to look for Harry, so he can tell Harry that Ray is in town. Ray is with Chloe. Eric's not happy. That used to be his girlfriend, and he wants some revenge. He can't do it himself because, as Harry would say, he's he'd use some colorful language for him. He's a wimp. Let's use that word. And it's funny, they just kind of look at look at Farrell's. Oh, his. Ooh, yeah, I guess you are blind. Ooh, looks like that hurts. Ooh.
Well, everybody thinks because they shoot blanks they're not dangerous, but what was that Hollywood movie star guy?
Yeah, he
shot himself in the temple, goofing around, and killed him.
Yeah, because there's the wadding in the bullet went
Yeah.
into his brain. Yeah, knuckleheads. It's. I have to tell you, the fact that what's his name got off after shooting that lady, Baldwin, he got off, and it's because he knew better. He knew better, and he managed to get off. And the safety procedures was you're not supposed to point a gun directly at anybody. He knew that. He was the producer. He'd been handled guns forever. The fact that he got off is, I think, criminal, right? So let's roll the scene. Harry's here, and we only got 2 more scenes left, so we're almost done. And this is so Eric finds Harry, and they're walking. Harry is helping Ken down the steps of the belfry when Eric finds them, and they both know what's going on. Harry knows that Ken's going to fight him. Ken knows. They immediately start a fight. It's a fight over. Each have gun, and they're fighting over the guns. And Harry gets the better of Ken, shoots him in the neck, but Ken's not down for the count yet. He picks up his gun and he starts climbing back up the belfry, and I think he's going to probably try and shoot Harry from the top of it. But he gets up there, and there's all kinds of fog, so he can't see what's going on. And this is the sacrifice of friends. So you don't really understand what he's doing when he starts dropping the change until you see it at the bottom, right? So he starts dropping change to tell people, "I'm coming down the fast way," and people get out of the way and they start looking up, and then Ken jumps out the window, or pushes himself out the window and smashes. And here he is. Ray figures out his friend it's Ken, and he goes over to see him what's going on. Now he knows he's dying anyways. And he lives long enough to say, "Ray's here, and get my gun in my pocket." Of course, his gun is broken because it.
Yeah, he stuffed it in there, patted it. Hopefully, it wouldn't break, and it's all in pieces.
Yeah, you're right, Tom.
Oh yeah. It's all about me, Eric.
Ain't that right,
Baldwin.
Tom? It always has been. He's a punk.
Yeah, the next time he complains about the cops, I'm going to go on his Twitter thing or whatever and say, "Well, I haven't killed anybody. How about you?" So.
He still killed her. I don't know. I don't care what he says.
Yeah, he killed her.
He took a gun that you didn't.
Yeah, he should have checked the gun, right?
Just the premises. I didn't know it was loaded. Okay, well, you still had to pull the trigger, and who points a loaded gun at anybody? or an unloaded gun unless you need to kill him.
But if they haven't already done, he's going to lose the civil suit.
Yeah, well, I think they already settled, right? I think
Did they?
already settled. So we see in our actors here is they love each other, and Ken has sacrificed himself to help Ray, to give Ray a chance, and of course Harry comes down, and the pursuit starts. But I think this was a critical scene. You see that these guys do care about each other, even though they're killers.
Yep.
So that's that. What do you say? There's an ounce of humanity in them, right? All of
Right.
them. And here's Chloe looking at Harry, and they went up to the belfry to avoid the shooting in the crowd, and then Harry comes down and starts shooting in the crowd, right? You know,
Right.
dozens of people around, and here it starts. Which you think, well, how do you get away after doing that? You would think that even the police would.
That's what I was saying. They can find a guy on a train going out of town. You got a guy chasing another guy all through town shooting at him, but you can't find them.
So, and then obviously he misses him too in the first one, right? And
He takes off running. Yeah.
He takes off running, and the next I don't know if I use this scene or not, but it's they end up back at the hotel, and because he knows there's a gun back at the hotel. I mean, Ken stays live long enough to say it's at the hotel, and he goes to get the girl's gun back at the hotel, so he has something to defend himself with. And when they get back there, he's upstairs, finds the gun, and Harry ends up downstairs. And probably the only really, really good person, truly good person, is the lady who's pregnant, who manages the hotel, and she won't let Harry go up to get Ray because it's her hotel. We're not going to do a shooting in my hotel. And these guys negotiate, right? Harry won't do it. She's a pregnant woman. He's not going to hurt her. Remember, he's got his principles. And Ray doesn't want her to get hurt, but he knows this is coming, and you know they negotiate how it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait
Go
5
ahead.
minutes. I'll jump out the window, and then you chase me. I'm like, holy shit.
How can I trust you? Well, you're gonna, you know what I mean. That they have this negotiation back and forth, and she's incredulous. I can't believe you guys are this. Is this where
This
your
is the
wife
worst shootout ever.
said- Is that what your wife said? Yeah.
Yeah. But I love when he says, "Okay, I'm going to run and I'm going to jump out the window into the canal, and you can shoot me while I'm trying to get in there." And then Harry says, "Well, when I leave, do I go left or right?" He goes, "Go whatever. It's a big fucking canal. Go whatever direction." Jesus, Harry, it's a huge canal.
Well, let's roll the next scene, and it's got to stick to your principles, and this is the finale, right? And so everything kind of comes together now, and they're chasing us. Here's our actor, Jordan Prentice, and he's dressed as a kid, and he's watching what is going on. What's all this shooting? And Ray's been hit. He's seriously wounded. Harry's pursuing him, and he wanders into this scene. If you remember the paintings, very gothic, very dark, and that's the kind of scene they're filming. So these people are all wearing these medieval kind of costumes, and of course Ray is like, "Where did I land?" Right? You know, he's and of course it looks like he sees Jordan, right? And this is very similar. This is similar to the assassination of the priest scene.
Yeah.
He shoots
He's
Ray.
like a little boy.
Yeah, he shoots Ray from behind, like the priest got shot from behind, and the bullets go through him and hit the kid. Now he's got dum-dum rounds. I think they would have exploded in Ray because that's what they're supposed to do. They wouldn't have gone through him, right?
Right.
Wide cutters go through, but they go through him, and they hit our dwarf actor, right?
In the head. Blows his head off.
Blows his head off, and Ray is going towards the actor when he goes down, and then here comes Harry, and you can see Harry's got the recognition that, uh-oh,
I killed a kid.
I killed a kid. And it's funny because, you know, as he's looking at him, Ray knows what Harry is thinking, and he tries to warn him. No, it's,
Yeah. That's how
no.
simpleton he is.
No,
Harry,
it's not. He's
don't
not a
do
kid.
That, Harry. He's and he couldn't get it out.
Well, remember, he
Like,
thinks
don't do it, Harry. Don't do it.
don't do it. But remember,
He's don't do it. And then he takes it out and he goes, "No, principle."
Yes. And he sees the actor dressed in the little boy's outfit, and he puts the gun in his mouth and blows his brain out. So this is really funny movie though, but very dark themes, right? And and I think I titled this one. So you got to stick to your principles, which is what it was, and then it just rolls right into the under. But here's Harry. He's looking at the kid, and now he's working it through his brain. He goes, "Okay, I gotta live by my principles." I think it does show Ray trying to warn him. No, it's not a kid. It's not a kid.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
But he blows him off. He blows him off.
He's just put 4 bullet holes in you. You're like, don't kill yourself. It's not a kid.
Yeah.
But he never got it all out.
I shot him 4 times, but he kill yourself.
You only shot me 4 times. It's okay.
He says, "Yeah. Oh, I see. Here we go. Here's the." And you have to think how ironic it is, and that's the irony in all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
If you like British and Australian humor, especially the British, try that Lock, Stock, and 2 Shotgun Barrels and Rock and Rolla.
Yeah, Rock and Rolla.
Yes,
that's
Rock
a
and
good one.
Rolla.
Vinnie Jones plays. He's a former
There
soccer
it is.
star. Great bad guy in it. Great movies. Oh, and The Gentleman with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell plays a part there that's just outstanding.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. So Harry sticks by his principles. Ray, I think, survives to see another day, and he's looking up, of course, at the belfry and more religious symbolism here. So, and that's the end of the movie. A good movie though, right? Yeah. See, here's the medieval costumes, the medieval look. Yeah, so hey, we're at the end of our show, guys. That was a great movie, right? Did you? Now that we talked about it, I mean, John, you said it was a little slow.
Much better now as we talked about it. I think I went into it with I heard it had bad reviews when it came out, and I just didn't have the right mindset to watch it.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
There are funny parts in there. You open my eyes up.
Here he is, prison death. That doesn't matter, right? Because there's Eric, so it all gets good. So did your wife like the movie too? There, Scott. Did she enjoy it?
Yeah, she enjoyed it. She likes, she likes those actors.
Yeah.
So, but
Well,
I enjoyed it the first time I saw it on a plane. The first time I watched it, and then watching it again. I think I watched it like a year ago. We were flying to Europe or something. I watched it.
This is another great line. He goes, "Yeah, it's all of eternity. I'm going to be for me. I'm going to be spent in Bruges." So that's his hell is Bruges, right?
Yeah, I hope I wouldn't die in Bruges.
That's my hell is Bruges. Yeah, send me to a prison anywhere but here, right?
Yeah.
The least of his worries. All right. Hey, great movie. Thank you guys for joining us on Morning Coffee with the Chief. Stick around for a quick debrief. I think, Martine, we are ready to take it away.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Thank you.